for another crazy but true story. In the late 80s, I was using LSD quite a bit. Well, I was experimenting with it. Well, one of these days, during an experiment, ran into a buddy of mine, and he started telling me about these guys that he kind of hung out with, and how they had the best acid, and, you know, these guys were a couple of burnout hippies. They were pagans. This kind of, you probably met these type of people and didn't even know it, or maybe you did. In any case, ended up going over there with one of my other friends and this other guy that I knew, and there were the two of them hanging out. Well, when we got to their house, it was like a studio apartment behind a house. But anyway, when I first got there, I noticed that there's these little tiny bells all over the place, and the trees all over like on posts and all kinds of stuff. And later found out that they were gypsy bells. Didn't pay much attention to it. So we go in there, and they start talking shit. Oh, the acid nowadays is nothing like it was in the 60s, this, that, and the other, you know. You guys are just messing with it. You're not really actually doing it. Well, I was pretty cocky back then. It's pretty stupid, too. So I asked him, I said, so, what, you know, how many hits of what the shit you guys have would it take to, you know, get the trip that, you know, would be equivalent of what would be taken in the 60s, you know, how many hits would be equal to one hit from the 60s? The guy says, oh, about 8. I said, alright, well, give me 16. So I do 16 hits of acid. About 45 minutes in, I can feel it coming on. I know right away this is going to be a whole new bag of tricks here. I mean, this is just beyond anything that I'd even thought about doing. The most I had done at that point, I think, was 2 hits of acid. And I had only done acid maybe about 5, 6, 7, 8 times at that point in my life. But I thought I knew everything, you know, of course. So I'm sitting there, and one of my other friends, the one I invited to come with us, he's sitting there and he tells the guy, you know, hey, I need to use your bathroom. The guy says, alright. And until this point, nobody had really moved. We were all just kind of sitting there listening to music and stuff. Well, my friend, literally, what I see is him morph up, like from here it just goes, and all of a sudden he's standing. And I was just like, oh no. And then he stretches all the way to the bathroom, and I'm like, oh my. I know that, I mean, we're only 45 minutes in, and I haven't even started to peak yet. I mean, I'm not even close to it. So as that stretch trail of him is starting to dissipate, all of a sudden he stretches back in and then morphs back down, and I'm sitting there like, oh my god, what have I done? So the night kind of goes on, and we're about an hour and a half in, maybe 2 hours in, and all of a sudden they decide they're going to perform some pagan ritual. I'm like, I was not ready for this. And then the whole time that I'm sitting there, they're all fucking with me. Not my buddy I brought with me, but these other 3. One, my other friend, and then these 2 burnouts. You know, they're saying stuff like, little elf, pointy shoes, pointy hat, running through the forest. What? And then one would start in with, baked potato, sour cream and chives, butter melting all over. I mean, they're just saying all this weird shit, you know, just out of the blue. Fucking with me big time. Trying to put me on a bad trip. And of course, they're also echoing everything they said on purpose. And then they started playing some, real dark music. And the whole time, when I would look at one of them, another one would say, murder, 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 death, 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 Satan, Satan, Satan. So at this point, I'm already really flipped out. And then they decide they're going to do this fucking ritual, which, I mean, I don't know anything about any of that. I thought I did, but I don't. And when they started doing that shit, I mean, I really started wigging. So they're doing their thing, and the main guy tells his little lackey helper dude, his little apprentice, to go and open the door and let Diana in. I guess that's some pagan goddess or some shit. So he goes to the door, and I can hear outside. I hear all the damn bells out there are ringing. So that's really got me going. That's messing with me anymore. And I assume most people have seen Indiana Jones. Well, you've seen the part where they open the Ark of the Covenant, and there's that, the apparitions are flying around. The one flies in. It's the woman with a beautiful face that turns to, a creature. Well, I'm sitting there, and his apprentice goes over and opens the door, and I shit you not, here comes in this big cloud, literally, and it doesn't fly around and do all kinds of cool stuff. It comes straight to me, and it was at that point that I started wigging out. Well, they put me on the couch. Well, at that point, I must have gotten into my trip at that point. Because I remember what I remember is them checking me and saying my breathing was messed up, my heart rate was way too fast, and then them calling the paramedics, and the paramedics coming in and putting, the EKG monitors on me, put me on a stretcher, take me out to the ambulance. I remember the ambulance ride to the hospital. I remember being wheeled into the ER. I remember the doctors checking me out, and then I remember the doctors pronouncing me dead. And as I'm laying there, and at this point, I'm like looking down at myself in the ER, and but then all of a sudden it's like, right after he pronounces me dead, I'm laying in the gurney, and I'm looking up, but then it's like I'm falling away. Basically I'm not getting tunnel vision, and I'm not moving to the light's going away. And next thing I know, I'm surrounded by darkness. And I can see other, dark things moving around me. I can hear shit, and then I start getting, the feeling I'm being stung by ants, but all over my body. I feel like I'm being burnt. I feel like that burning feeling that you get from super cold. I feel like I'm being stuck with shit. I even felt like there was sticky stuff on my hands, which is I don't know, most people are with that, but my hands being sticky and I can't even handle that. That just wigs me out. It's way too much for me to handle. So I'm sitting there, and all this fucked up shit is happening to me. And I don't know how long this went on for. And it seemed like forever. And then there's a light up and behind me. And I can see that there's light behind me, out of my peripheral vision. And I can see light. And my hair was long then. I had hair then. But I could see light in my hair. And I hear a voice that says, "Hey, you want this to stop?" I was like, hell yeah, make this stop. And boom, all of a sudden I woke up and I'm on their couch. I'm still frying balls, but nothing like what I was before. I was still frying really harder than I had ever fried before, but I was no longer in this trip. I wasn't on that trip anymore. That had all ended. And I realized I was still at their house. And everything was cool. And I went and talked with one of my buddies. We actually walked to the store after I snapped out of it. And I told him everything that happened. And he said, man, he said, all you did was lay there and moan, and he said I was twitching and shit, and just, and they kept telling him, hey, he's alright, just let him go with it, he's doing his thing. So, I think everybody should try a hallucinogen at least once in their life, but be smart about it, be in a safe place, don't go to some stranger's house and do something completely stupid like what I did. Otherwise you were going to have an incredibly bad trip. I'm lucky because I kept telling myself in the back of my mind, it's only a drug. It's only a drug. I just have to wait until it wears off. It's only a drug. It'll end. This trip will end. And it did. But I've heard tell, and I don't know how true all of it is, but I hear people say, oh yeah, so-and-so, he took 2 hits of acid and he never came back, you know. But, you know, just be smart about it. But I would encourage people to try it, honestly. And, well, that's about it. Thanks for listening. Y'all have a good one. Laters.